I made over $100 million in email sales and have worked with over 150 e-commerce brands in the last 5 years of running my email marketing agency. And honestly, it hurts me every single time I see another brand stuck below 30% of their revenue coming from email. I've built and scaled 2 e-commerce brands to 7 figures myself, and so I know exactly how frustrating it is to put your entire heart into a business and not see the results that you're hoping for. That's why in this video, I'm breaking down the exact strategy framework that we've used to scale brands from 30, even up to 60% of their overall revenue coming from the email channel. And honestly, even if you just implement a little of what I'm about to share, you're gonna see very, very meaningful results in your email channel in just the next 60 days. Let's get into it. All right, so this is the LTV Labs $100 million email marketing strategy. And what you'll find here is that we have 4 pillars that we're gonna discuss. I'm gonna be breaking down each one in detail and exactly how our team likes to approach it. All right, so the first one we're gonna start with is list growth. List growth is something that, I speak with a lot of founders about, and something that is definitely underrated when it comes to conversation about email marketing. A lot of founders place importance on flows and campaigns, but really the thing that matters the most and the biggest driver of the performance of these flows and campaigns is the number of people that we're able to actually reach with the emails that we're sending out. Because you could have the best designs, best strategy, best copy on your emails, but if no one's actually getting those emails and you don't have a big enough email list to send that to, then you're not going to be seeing the best possible results that you will be. If you're sending traffic to your site, you're spending money on ads, traffic is regularly coming to your site. How are we capturing those visitors and converting them into email subscribers so that way they can later convert? And the reality is that 98% of visitors won't hand over their email for nothing, right? And I think that's what most brands get wrong, is that they don't realize that they have to have a strong offer. And so a lot of times when I audit accounts, it's usually a pop-up like this that says, sign up today, subscribe to our newsletter for fresh updates and special savings. There's really nothing compelling about this type of pop-up. Like, there's no reason that someone would actually want to leave their email. Like, signing up today and subscribing to newsletter to receive fresh updates just doesn't sound motivating enough. I mean, if I'm someone that's coming to a website and I'm seeing this pop-up, I'm definitely not going to be entering my email. Now compare that to this pop-up where, we're actually giving some sort of like monetary incentive for people to leave their email address. In this case, with this brand called Yay Nuts that we work with, we're offering 10% off your order. We have the enter your email and unlock 10% off. Like, the offer is just nice and big and clear. We're actually giving them a reason to give us their email because they're getting, some sort of savings on their order. And who doesn't love, to save money, right? And so the get 10% off your first order, that for sure will beat anything that says like sign up today to just get some updates and some newsletter updates from you. And so here are some actual pop-ups that can convert. So you can do like a percentage off your first order. You can do a dollar amount off. Like in this example, we did percentage off. You can do a free gift with purchase. So unlock 1 free pair. And then you can also do a mystery discount, which also performs well. So people don't actually know what discount they're going to be receiving until they enter their email. And so it's kind of gamifies the experience a little bit more and builds some intrigue. And so, they're a lot more likely to enter their email if they don't know what they're going to be getting. It could be 10% off, could be 20% off, it could be 50% off. They just don't know until they enter their email. So that's why that's so critical. And so you want to run one offer at a time, see how it performs, and then kind of adjust from there. You don't want to test 2 different offers at the same time, or you don't want to test, an offer and then test that with like a different image. We want to just test one variable at a time. And that's true for really any A/B testing that you're doing. Now, I want to talk about submit rates because I think a lot of brands think that, 3 to 4% submit rate is good. Every brand is different, but I think here's a solid benchmark that we should all be following, having a 6 to 12% submit rate. So if you're below 6% right now, I can tell you for a fact something is off. Could be your offer, could be your timing, could be your design, or even all 3. Most of the time it's really all 3. Most of the time it's like a pop-up that is similar to this, or it says, 10% off, but it's like very, very hidden. And there's no sort of like 2-step sort of form, which I'll get into in just a minute. Now, if you're above 12%, you're doing great. Your pop-up is bringing in real subscribers who actually want to hear from you and who will eventually buy. So again, 6 to 12%, if you're somewhere within that range, you're in a healthy spot. If you're below 6%, it's definitely a cause for concern and, should be addressed right away. Now, here's what a high converting pop-up looks like. So this is a pop-up that we did for one of our clients called Fitzgerald Conservatory. First things first, what you'll notice is that we have a very strong offer at the very top saying take 10% off your order. The offer is nice and clear. It's not hidden within lines and lines of text, or it's not hidden within a paragraph. Straight and clear, the person seeing this knows exactly what they're getting, which is the 10% off. And then we say, but before you move on, please tell us what's your biggest skin concern right now. We're asking them this question, having a multiple choice question. This approach does two powerful things. Number one, it gets them to mentally invest before you ask for anything. And it also triggers commitment bias, because when you're asking this question, they have no idea that you're going to ask for their email in the next step. They just think you're just asking them this question, you're going to be getting 10% off without doing anything. Little do they know that in the second step is when we're going to be asking for their email. Depending on what answer they can click on any of these answers. We can actually store that as a profile property on Klaviyo and then later use that zero-party data to later retarget them either through a flow or a campaign that we send out. So we're actually collecting information on the pop-up itself, which is really, really powerful. And like I said earlier, it triggers commitment bias, where essentially if someone is committing to answering this question, well, by the time they get to the second question where you're asking them for their email, they're a lot more likely to commit to answering that question because they've already made it this far. They've committed to answering this first question. They're already kind of engaged. They're interacting with your brand. And so if they've already made it that far, they're like, hey, okay, might as well just enter my email. I've already made it this far, nothing to lose. I'm already getting 10% off. They're a lot more likely to enter. And that's why we've A/B tested doing a two-step pop-up where we ask them the question, and we've tested that against just asking them for their email straight up. And we've always found that the two-step pop-up actually outperforms the one-step pop-up. And it's kind of counterintuitive because most people would think that having this additional step kind of increases the friction of the consumer. But again, we found the opposite, where people actually feel like they're engaging with the brand, and now they want to answer more questions. And if you're not doing this already, I highly recommend it. And then at the bottom here, we say, no thanks, I'll pay full price. So this forces a moment of conscious decision. It increases the likelihood that they'll pause and consider the offer, likely leading to a consistent lift in opt-in rates. Kind of again playing against psychology, like making them double guess themselves, like, wait, I don't want to pay full price. I want to get a discount code. Like, no one wants to pay full price, right? Before they click this, they're gonna really kind of double think and double guess themselves, and they're just gonna go back and answer the question, enter their email, and that's exactly what we want them to do. And one thing I forgot to mention as well is that we don't have an X button right here. Instead, we just have the no thanks, I'll pay full price. So the only way they can get out of the pop-up is by clicking this no thanks, I'll pay full price. So we're forcing them to actually read this and click it in order to leave the pop-up. And again, that's what helps improve conversion rates over time, because they see this, they want to exit out of it, they see this, they double guess themselves, and then they just come back to the pop-up, answer the question. And then lastly, just to show some results that we've gotten for some clients using a similar style pop-up, you can see that this pop-up right here has a 7.9% opt-in rate. You can see that this is considered excellent performance by Klaviyo. This one has a 15% opt-in rate. You can see that this one has 16% submit rate and then a 19% submit rate. You can see the unique views are 2.1 thousand and 2.6 thousand respectively. This one has a 10.2% opt-in rate. These are the type of opt-in rates that we get kind of leveraging the same exact principles that we do, using this style of a pop-up. By the way, if you want to go even deeper on these email marketing pillars and actually see real examples of high converting designs that we've built for our clients, well, I've put together a free document called the Email Revenue Playbook. It's 126 pages long of literally everything I've learned in the last 10 years of doing this. And it contains all the strategies that we've used across hundreds of brands that we've worked with. And I'm giving it away completely for free. The link is in the description. And so the next pillar is deliverability. And the whole premise of this is that you can write the perfect email, the best subject line, beautiful design, unbeatable offer, but none of that matters if the email is landing in spam, because no one's really checking their spam folder. All the effort that you're putting into building that email just goes to waste, right? And so the whole objective is to get your emails out of spam and getting it into the primary inbox, right? And so we have a 4-step process for fixing email deliverability. And so if your emails right now are landing in the promo tab or even worse, the spam folder, well, there's a few things that you can do to actually improve that, right? So number one is you want to tighten your segments that you're sending to. Biggest mistake that I see is that brands are sending emails to their entire list. They're blasting it to their entire master list segment. And so you want to stop sending to your full email list, and you only want to send to people who have opened or clicked in the last 7 days. Create a segment of people that have opened or clicked your email in the last 7 days, even 3 days if you have to, and start sending campaigns to those people. So people that have opened or clicked an email in the last 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, etc. Once you start to see your open rates get above 50% with those segments, then you can start to expand it. And it's going to take a few weeks to kind of get to that point, because the way that this works is that you're sending emails to people that have a history of engaging with your brand, right? People that have opened in the last 7 days. These major email service providers are going to see that, like Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail, etc. They're going to see, okay, people in the last 7 days are opening and clicking. Let's see what the open rates are going to be, right? Like your open rates are going to be at 50%. So now your deliverability is going to start to increase. You're going to start to get into more inboxes. Now you can start to expand that to 14 days, 21 days, 30 days, etc. And over time, your deliverability is going to get better and better and better. So once you hit above a 60% open rate on the 7-day segment, then go up to 14 days. Keep on sending until your open rates are above 60%. Do not continue sending campaigns though if your open rates are below 50%. At that point, you just want to focus on maybe even reducing your segment again back to 7 days, but keep on kind of going back and forth. Eventually you want to get to 120 to 180 day engaged segment. You have to start somewhere, and the best place to start is the last 7 days, and then just keep on expanding the window from there. Number 2 is pausing non-essential flows. So you want to turn off anything that isn't critical, and you want to keep your highest engagement flows running. And so the highest engagement flows are probably going to be things like your welcome series, your site abandonment, your browse abandonment, and your abandoned checkout. Keep those running, but anything else that's not absolutely critical to your revenue, you just want to pause those temporarily. Number 3 is mixing in plain text emails. So plain text emails tend to inbox better than heavily designed ones because they appear less promotional and more personal to inbox filters. So one of the things I always recommend is within your flows to have some plain text emails sprinkled in, but also even some of your campaigns as well. So you want to add them into flows and campaigns both. And so plain text emails make it seem like you're just hitting the compose button on Gmail and you're writing to a friend. And because of that, these email service providers see that and they don't trigger any sort of promo tab or spam tab. They just think it's a legitimate email. And so you want to do more plain text emails to help deliverability. Number 4 is expanding slowly once stable. Once we start consistently hitting 40 to 50% open rates with hyper engaged segments, we can start widening the audience again. So this is kind of like I said earlier. Yeah, I would say once you hit 40, 50, 60% open rates, then you can expand to 14 days, 30 days, 60 days. If you fall below 50% or even below 40%, then I would look at just dialing it back again to whatever you were at before. So if you're at 14 days and you had a 38% open rate, maybe dial it back again to 7 days until you have 50, 60% open rate. It's going to take a little bit of time because again, you have to remember you're going through healing and repair at this point. And so as long as you're above 50, 60% open rates, then you can start to expand it. Once you start to fall below 50% though, or even below 40%, you want to kind of dial it back. The main thing though is that consistency is key. There's no quick fix for a damaged sender reputation. It is a marathon, not a sprint. So you want to prioritize quality engagement over quantity of sends. You definitely don't want to be sending multiple emails to your entire list over and over and over. You want to send several emails, not a lot, but a few emails to people that are for sure engaged. So you know that they've opened an email in the last 7 to 14 days, like I said. By the way, I have a full deliverability guide video on my channel where I broke down everything you need to know about fixing your deliverability. So this goes into even more extreme detail. The link is going to be in the description of this video. All right, so the next pillar I'm going to cover is probably everyone's favorite, and that's the flows, right? And the flows are unique in such a way that if you set them up right the first time, they'll keep generating revenue every single day without much maintenance, making your email program one of your hardest working marketing tools, right? And of course, there's different things that you can eventually optimize and A/B test, but for the most part, if you follow the best practices in this video or any of my other videos when it comes to the flows, there's really not too much that needs to be changed, and you're going to be seeing a lot of revenue generated on autopilot from these flows. And so these are the 7 core flows that every e-commerce brand needs to be running, and I've listed it down by flow category, flow name, the number of emails, and the primary goal. So the first one is the welcome series, and the welcome series is probably going to be the highest revenue generating flow on your account. The category is acquisition because most of the time we're acquiring first time customers with this welcome series because we're educating them, we're nurturing them, and we're building trust with them into them making their first purchase, right? So the welcome series, we want to have 6 emails there, and the primary goal is converting subscribers into first-time buyers. Next, we have the abandoned cart, which is under the recovery category. That one will have 4 emails, and we want to re-engage people who added an item to their cart and left. Similarly, but also a little bit different, is the abandoned checkout, which a lot of people, by the way, don't have the abandoned cart, but they have the abandoned checkout. We want to make sure that we have both covered. This falls under the recovery category. We have 4 emails, and the primary goal here is to recover lost sales at the checkout. The next one is going to be the new customer post-purchase. Flow category is going to be retention. We have 4 emails here. Primary goal is to build loyalty and reduce buyer's remorse. The next one is going to be the browse abandonment. That one's going to be for recovery. We're going to have 3 emails, and the main goal there is to re-engage product viewers. Second to last, we have the customer win back. We're going to have 3 emails there, and we want to re-engage lapsed customers with the goal. And then abandoned site, our site abandonment, is going to be the last one that we're going to cover, which is going to be 2 emails, and basically the whole goal there is to bring back window shoppers, because at that point they mainly just came to your homepage, they didn't view any specific item or product. Now it's time to kind of get them to come back to your site, continue browsing, continue where they left off, etc., etc. And just for context, the flows are going to have the biggest impact on your revenue, and the ones that I recommend setting up first and foremost is going to be the welcome series, the cart and checkout abandonment, the browse abandonment, and the site abandonment. Those flows that I just mentioned are gonna have the biggest impact on your revenue. All the other flows are also very, very important as well, but they're not gonna generate as much revenue as the flows I just mentioned. And so again, the welcome series, abandoned cart, abandoned checkout, browse abandonment, site abandonment, focus on those first, and yeah, they'll generate a ton of revenue for you. And so here's some results of the flows we built for some of our clients. In this screenshot, you can see this brand did $325,000 in total revenue for the month, and 93,000 of that came directly from the flows. So 93,000 out of that 300,000 came from flows, another 110,000 came from campaigns. This brand did 266,000 in revenue. 82,000 of that came directly from flows. This brand did 323,000 from revenue. All 132,000 of the Klaviyo revenue came directly from the flows because we haven't even touched campaigns yet at this point. This brand did $24 million over the course of 12 months. And 16 million of that came from the flows. So pause this video and just think about that for a second, because these flows were set up just one time. And obviously we did make some tweaks and optimizations, but for the most part, they were set up one time and they continue to bring in revenue for these brands month after month after month without really, any sort of significant input after we've kind of built it out the first time, right? And if you think about it, the reason why that's so significant is because look at these numbers: 93,000, 82,000, 132,000, 16 million. Just in the case of this example right here, this isn't 132,000 from the flows just in 1 month. This is next month, a new 132,000. The month after that, a new 132,000. Month after that, a brand new 132,000. So I don't want you to look at this and be like, oh yeah, 132,000, that's great. Well, no, it's actually a brand new 6 figures that's generated from these flows again and again and again and again, just from setting up these systems one time, and most importantly, doing it the right way that I recommend in this video. And so the last pillar I want to cover is the campaigns. And I think a lot of brands don't focus enough on campaigns. They just think once they have the flows in place, that's it for their email marketing strategy. They don't have to do anything else. Well, the benefit that campaigns can provide is that now with the, you're obviously sending traffic through ads and, other means, but the campaigns are going to bring in more additional targeted traffic, right? So if you're sending campaigns out, which is just like a one-off targeted send to either a segment or engage list, etc., well, then you can bring in additional email traffic to your site. And if they don't convert directly from the email campaign that you send out, well, then guess what? They're going to be put through those other flows that we've built out. And so campaigns are a way to get kind of immediate, quick revenue. The biggest mistake that I see is that either number one, brands are sending too few campaigns, or they're sending campaigns regularly, but without any sort of clear strategy. And so, for example, in the case where, brands are sending too few campaigns, if competitors are emailing consistently and you're not, they tend to stay top of mind while your brand fades into the background. In crowded markets, especially these days where there's a lot of e-commerce brands popping up, that visibility gap matters a lot, right? And so we want to make sure that we're consistently sending, I would say, at least 2 to 3 campaigns per week, which I'll get into. The last mistake is sending without clear strategy. So bombarding your audience without clear intent, and that leads to list fatigue and high unsubscribe rates. That's ultimately going to tarnish your brand's reputation, and people are just going to have a negative connotation with your brand when they think of you. And that's the last thing that you'd want. You want to be able to send emails that are educational, beneficial, etc. So here's what my team and I found works best, right? Again, like I said, sending 2 to 3 campaigns per week, enough to drive consistent revenue without burning out your list, but also keeping you top of mind without being annoying, right? We found, and this is after years and years and years of testing, sending 2 to 3 campaigns per week and doing it consistently is going to be the sweet spot and the Goldilocks zone of sending campaigns. Secondly, in order of the strategy of these campaigns, we want to send out 75% educational emails and 25% promotional emails. This balance keeps your list engaged and drives sales, often at full price, because when you're not constantly discounting, your offer actually means something. I've seen so many brands where they've trained their customers to only buy something whenever they offer a discount code, and at that point it's just too late to recover from that, right? You can't just go back from sending discounts all the time to never sending a discount again, because now your list is totally trained to only buy something whenever you have a discount code, and you're very, very unlikely to recover from that. And so again, you want to have value-driven content, helpful tips, benefits, brand story, new products, etc., etc. That's kind of the approach and the mindset that you want to have when it comes to developing out a solid campaign calendar every month. The next thing is sending between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. You want to start with the 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. window. That's when we've seen the highest engagement, the highest open rates, highest click-through rates, because people just tend to be more engaged in the morning as their day is getting started, when they're on their lunch breaks, as they're commuting to work, etc. You want to just track your open and click rates though and see how it performs for your brand, because again, every brand is different. 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. might work well for most brands, but for your brand, maybe, afternoon, 4 or 5 p.m. works better, or maybe late at night, 9 to 10 p.m. works better. Maybe just test different send times to see what works best for you, and let your audience guide you. And you can even run some A/B test on Klaviyo when you send campaigns. You can even A/B test, a 9 a.m. send time with a 2 p.m. send time, or 2 p.m. versus 8 p.m. Again, you want to test, one variable at a time. So don't test subject lines alongside send times. You want to just test, one or the other. So this is a campaign for Magic Spoon. Basically, you can see that they have a nice headline at the top, which is actually a review. This cereal is so amazingly crunchy. They have a nice CTA button that says Get Fiber Cereal. Just their branding in general, right? Like you can see that Magic Spoon is just a very, very colorful and playful brand. And you can see that they have like a nice image of their products and their cereals at the top. And they have like 3 different reviews with the 5-star ratings and the quotations, another CTA, happiness 100% guarantee. So this is a really, really powerful social proof email, I would say. And another example that you can use for your brand as well is to have social proof email sprinkled out throughout your content calendar, because the biggest reasons why people don't buy, one of the biggest reasons why people don't buy, is they don't trust the brand enough, and maybe they don't think that you're a legitimate company, or maybe they think that maybe the product isn't a good fit for them. So seeing reviews of other like-minded people that are actually talking about the product and like talking about their experience, that goes a really, really long way to get people to convert. And I'm pretty confident that this email specifically absolutely crushed it for them. Here's an example of a high converting promotional email from Mega Babe. You can see they have a nice hero image right here with a headline that says today only, score 40% off, a Mega Babe team pick. Latouche, you can see that they have the hero image right here. Another testimonial right here that says, I would bathe myself in Latouche if I could. This mask is so insanely luxurious. Kirsten, director of marketing. What we love about Latouche, and then kind of dives into the benefits of the product specifically. I love that they have like an image of the Latouche product with someone's fingers dipping into it, so you can actually see the texture of the product, and like, so it gets people to kind of get into the mindset of like, okay, this is what the product would like feel like and look like when I receive it. Very, very colorful, playful email, really great copy and textures and CTAs and things like that throughout the email. So again, this is a great email. Both of these emails are great to model off of when it comes to promotions and also social proof review emails. And so here's lastly 50 campaign ideas that you can steal so you can never run out of content. Now, one of the common things I hear with a lot of e-commerce brands is that they know how important it is to send campaigns out regularly, but they just don't know what to send. And I totally get that. And so I came up with 50 campaign ideas that you can steal so you never run out of content to send to your list, right? And I actually broke it down by categories here so you can actually see we have product and education, we have engagement and interactive, we have social proof and community, sales and promotions, brand and storytelling, curated and roundup. So just to kind of name a few, product and education, you can do like a product spotlight, collection spotlight, how to use, product education, tips and tricks, zoom in on one benefit specifically, or zoom in on one feature, zoom in on one ingredient, how it's made. You can do an engagement interactive, so you can do an in-email quiz, survey, riddle, ask me anything, like a founder Q&A. For social proof and community, you can do customer reviews, UGC content, before and afters, customer story and case study, sales and promotions. You can do flash sale, holiday sale, back in stock, almost sold out, free shipping threshold reminder. For brand and storytelling, you can do a note from the founder, brand values, behind the scenes, us versus them, why we started, meet the team, and then curated roundup. So bestsellers, staff favorites, trending products, monthly roundup, blog content recap. There are so many different ideas that you'll never run out of it. And yeah, you should never have an excuse of not knowing what to send, because there's so many different, concepts and ideas that you can send out to your list that is actually, providing value and education and nurturing people and building trust with them, that doesn't always rely on giving them a discount. For example, one of the campaigns that we're planning to launch next month is for a brand that was featured on Shark Tank. They were on the actual show. The founder was actually on the show. They were featured on Shark Tank probably several years ago, but a lot of the new subscribers and the new customers that they're getting over the last couple of years aren't even aware of that. And so we're going to be doing a campaign just to kind of reintroduce the concept of, this brand being featured on Shark Tank, showing, videos of it, pictures of it, their experience being on the show. And that kind of will help instill trust even further with these new subscribers and new customers that are coming in. And it also just kind of goes to show like that this brand is actually legitimate and people are investing in it and people actually trust the brand. And so yeah, really exciting campaign that we're going to be doing for them as well. So there you have it, the email strategies that we've used to generate over $100 million across the 150 plus e-commerce brands that we've worked with. Now, if you want to go even deeper on this, like I said, you can go ahead and download my email revenue playbook using the link in the description. 126 pages of everything I know about email marketing. The same information that you'd get from a paid course, well, I'm giving it away for free. And if you want to know know exactly what's holding back your brand specifically when it comes to email marketing, well, there's a link in the description to also book in a call directly with me. I'll audit your account, tell you exactly what needs to be fixed, and let you know if you're a good fit or not for our system. But honestly, I don't care if you click either of those links. I just hope that you got value from this video and now have a clear understanding of what email marketing can actually do for your brand if you do it right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.